This is Laurier Golden Talks, episode 11, Spotted at Laurier. Ticket.
I wanna talk, I wanna be your friend. I get so nervous when I meet new people, but you don't mind cause you're a nice new friend. Let's go to school and just be friendly people. I just wanna sit and talk to you. Oh my, fun when we're together. All right.
Welcome back to another episode of Laurier Golden Talks, the first, the best, and the only podcast pertaining to the Laurier community. I'm one of your co-hosts, Christine, and I'll toss it to my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
I'm Yoko.
What's good, everybody? It's Craig. Good to have you back.
You might be noticing we are down a member. Last week we said goodbye to a very crucial member of this team, Mr. Sean Schultz, but that's okay. We are trekking on without him, and we still have some of his great ideas for episode themes. So this week we actually decided to keep things fresh and interesting and talk about celebrities. Something that everyone knows and loves. I don't know if you're like me, I spend a lot of my time doing BuzzFeed quizzes. Which celebrity am I? I'm constantly taking in celebrity gossip. I just love it. I can't get enough. So today we're going to talk about if Laurier was a celebrity, what celebrity Laurier would be. I think we all have very different, maybe the same ideas of what celebrity we think Laurier would be. And then we'll get into some fun Spotted at Laurier celebrity edition. So which famous people we've seen on campus. Does anyone want to go first for who they think Laurier would be if they were a celebrity?
I can go first, but I do have a question first.
Of course.
Because I just feel like we do it every episode. I just felt a little left out today. Like, Craig, who are you repping today?
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, well, so we're repping the OG Raptor, 1996 Rookie of the Year, Damon Stoudemire, which is actually, we're now into the repeat performances of the rotation. So.
Okay, we're taking it way back. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Okay, sorry, I just had to ask because I was like, oh, something just doesn't feel right. Like, yeah.
You're right, something did feel a little empty, and I didn't know that.
I didn't want to repeat myself, but I mean, now that apparently I've made it a thing, I'll make it again.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna. This was hard for me because I've got a few, but I think you guys know I'm in quarantine with my crew, my boys, and so kind of went back and forth. So I decided on Mark Wahlberg because I think handsome. Mark Wahlberg, he's just he said handsome. I wasn't going there, but I was thinking like he's so versatile. He's one of my favorite actors. He plays in action movies. He does comedy. He owns a restaurant. Like he is busy. He does all kinds of stuff. And he's such a family guy. And I felt like the way our Laurier community is so robust and engaging, you can find pockets for everything that you want to do and expand your horizons. That's why I chose Mark Wahlberg.
That is a great one. You're right. He does have in everything. Oh,
I like the family call out too. It's a classy play. That's a classy play.
Oh, Christine is coughing.
Oh, I'm like, it was really quiet. I'm like, but she must have muted her mic like a pro.
Made it to the mute on time.
That's right. That's how we keep it real here. Okay, so who's after me?
I can't go.
Sure.
I want to know what Sharon has to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
The self-proclaimed doesn't know celebrities lives under a rock.
Yeah. Honestly, Christine prefaced that perfectly. I know nothing. I rock. And it's just what I'm known for. So what I'm going to do is try my best here. So after Googling things for a really long time, going through a lot of people that I had no idea, I decided to settle on an author. Just like famous authors in general, I don't know, I tend to lean towards C.S. Lewis. Now let me tell you why. Because I went with the author route because I feel authors have such a gift and it's just really cool at creating stories and making things come to life. And when you're at Laurier, a part that really resonates with me is like my Laurier story, starting from first to fifth year. And every student, this is their chance to write their own story, just get involved, experiences, figuring out their programs, what they love, and just making all these new friends. And you have a bunch of these stories that you accumulate. I mean, I have tons that I've accumulated over my 5 years, which is kind of like my mini university book. So that's why I kind of went the author route. And C.S. Lewis, because he wrote Narnia, and it's magical and absolutely awesome. And I tend to describe my Laurier experience as somewhat magical because of all the fun experiences that I've had. So I went with like the amazing magical route and author because it's a story.
Okay, I'm super impressed.
That's
That
so
was awesome.
sweet.
Yeah, this is like great. That was like well thought out, Yoko.
I know, they're just gonna pop up with celebrities. I'm just like, I'm gonna make do with what I know, which is not a lot. So I tried to my best shot. Thanks, guys.
That was phenomenal.
For all the younger Gen Z, if you have not read or seen the movies of Narnia, I do recommend them. They are quite fantastic books. So if you're bored, go for them. The movies are pretty good too, but they're quite, as Sharon would say, magical.
I have, like, at best, a surface level understanding of Narnia and generally C.S. Lewis, like, big picture. Never plugged into it. So,
Craig, that's hurting my heart. Like,
I'm on a literary island right now. It is what it is.
I don't even really like fantasy. That's not typically my genre at all.
yes.
But I still got into these ones.
I would totally agree with. I would agree with Christine. Like I would not go seek that out. But like Craig, if you haven't, or have your girls read it?
No, I can almost. Yeah, Aubrey's probably would be at the age where she could tie into that. Macy would have to have it read to her, and I know C.S. Lewis to know that ain't happening.
That's not true. I read it to my boys when they were younger.
Okay, well, it's still not happening. So. And C.S. Lewis's Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe as well, correct?
Yeah.
That's Narnia.
Narnia.
Yeah,
it's like the Narnia series.
The Narnia family.
Yeah.
Like I said,
It's
passing
toughness.
Understanding.
Yeah. So Yoko, you have I think you cashed in there because we are all like, oh, going taking it back. So well done.
Except for me, because I don't know, but it's neither here nor there.
With the justification, you can see
Yeah.
It's just a story, you know?
Yeah.
Story, creating a world for yourself.
That is, and that is Laurier. It's your story. Yeah,
You do
come
whatever you
write
want.
it. Well done.
Okay.
That's okay.
That was the main point.
My go-to, or my go on this one, I'm going with Ryan Gosling. And I think the play on Ryan Gosling is I kind of see Laurier's sensibilities as like, if you were to think of what's a Canadian university about? And I feel like Ryan Gosling, as a Canadian actor, it's just like a real sort of Canadian tie in terms of the sensibilities around it. I mean, if you're an OG like me, and Ryan Gosling got his big break on Breaker High, which is quintessentially Canadian television. And got to the point where he is in critically acclaimed films and is best actor. And so if we kind of take the Ryan Gosling experience, it's like somebody who came from very humble beginnings and has just kind of been on the come up ever since. And I think that people are like, oh, you went to Laurier or you're at Laurier, cool. Everybody kind of just understands that's a good fit. And it doesn't make you the unreachable celebrity, but at the same time, you're clearly a big deal. And I mean, you also can do the serious things and make big impacts in the world, but at the same time, you're not going to take yourself too seriously. So a good hey girl meme is always important.
That's actually really funny, Craig, because I was going to go in a very similar direction with Ryan Reynolds. And for very similar reasons.
Canadian Ryans.
The quintessential Canadian actor. And I like love both Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds. Like it's really hard for me to choose who I love more. But as by terms of Laurier, I was thinking Ryan Reynolds, because it's like Ryan Reynolds just like never takes himself too seriously. He's always down for just like a silly goose good time. Like he's just such a good spirit, but he's also a very talented and dedicated actor to his craft. So it's like you get to have the fun, but then you still are very like, you're very dedicated to like your academics at Laurier. That's kind of, we always like to strike that balance. And funnily enough, I was going to say there's two very famous Ryans in Canada. There are two very famous universities in Waterloo. So it's kind of like the same situation there. Both are great. Both have like doing their thing. So I just thought that was a funny comparison too.
Two great Ryans in two sort of different locations. You've got the Reynolds campus.
Yeah.
And the Gosling campus, or the Brandon campus, and the Waterloo campus.
That's good. That's true too. So, and then another thing is like, as we're all seeing with like COVID-19 and like stuff, Ryan Reynolds has jumped up and to help support like various initiatives. I know he teamed up with a Laurier ambassador to help give personal protection supplies to frontline workers. And I always think of Laurier in that sense, like whenever there's a tragedy or wherever there's a fundraiser or if there's a difference that needs to be made, Laurier students are always like, yeah, where can I help? Like, what can I do? Where can we put our efforts to kind of make some good in the world? So that's what made me think of Ryan Reynolds.
Nice.
For Laurier.
Interesting how none of us went with anybody who's female. The male persuasion strongly represented. But I guess Wilfred was a guy, so the namesake makes sense.
It is true.
Makes sense, I suppose. So has anybody like had their head turned in terms of like you started with one celebrity, but you've been convinced that somebody else had a better answer? I'm all in on Ryan Reynolds now. I'm like,
Well,
I think he's just that a little bit more relatable than Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling,
A little bit more like on social media too, which like Ryan Gosling kind of disappeared there for a while. He started his family and he became very, very private. I know a lot of Ryan Gosling.
That's crazy. No, I think, it's funny, like, feel like I listened to all of you and I was like, I was all swayed. And then Craig talks about the female aspect and I went, oh, I've got one. Like,
okay.
I was like, oh. So like, but this was the first name that popped in my head, did not give this extra thought. But for one of the people for me, like I just kind of popped in my head was Sandra Bullock.
Oh,
like, yes.
Right? Like I was just like.
You might have just won.
Like I was just like, oh yeah, like all the boxes, her outreach, her just wanting to help and all her charities and all that stuff she does, and her zest for life, and very, very intelligent. Might I add, I remember doing some checking into her, and she's got all these accolades. I didn't even know she's got all these degrees. I didn't even know all that. But yeah, like I was just like, Craig, you're right. And then Sandra Bullock popped in my mind. So
she's a fan favorite. She is an all around, just like, she is just the perfect embodiment of all good things. I do love me some Sandy Bullock.
Now I'm wondering, so do we have a theme between all these celebrities that we picked? Like, what's the theme?
I think that they're well-rounded.
Yeah.
They just like excel in one area, that they're versatile. That even with like when you said, oh my goodness, Mark Wahlberg, like versatile, like dipping their toes in a bunch of different things to create like a very well-rounded person. So I think that's something.
Yeah, and I was thinking like C.S. Lewis, because his range of books, there's some like, it was like, okay, did the same person write all these books? So for sure.
You don't have to be pigeonholed into like just academics or just, your extracurriculars or just your athletics. You get to do kind of all of those things at Laurier, and like these people weren't confined to just fantasy genres or actions or whatever. Like and they're famous for tons of different reasons.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's a healthy balance there too between like front of the line leadership, but also like a relatability and a good community member and participant.
Yeah.
Very well wrapped up, Craig. That was like perfect.
I mean, there's a reason that I'm on the payroll.
And if you're like, where can I see Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds in one movie together? Go watch The Proposal.
Solid.
It's the best rom-com ever. Both of these two at their peak performances. Would recommend.
I mean, and there's shirtless Ryan Reynolds, and realistically, like, I don't care who you are, there's worse things to look at.
Is it on Netflix?
Sharon Yukana is in.
Hilco's like, wait, whoa, bring me up to speed.
I
What?
need to chime in right there.
Oh, no, it's perfect.
Really curious. It was on Netflix.
You go ahead and ride on that backwards bicycle and backpedal, girl. It's very clear where your head's at.
No,
That's awesome.
it was a genuine.
It was just a perfectly timed chime.
It was like, yeah, it was a complete accident.
Absolutely.
That exercise actually went a lot better than I thought it would. Like, we all end up with some really cool answers there, so that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good question to ask. I was like, yeah, how do you make Laurier real? Bring it. Yeah, it was good. Well done.
Do you guys remember, do you guys like The Weeknd?
Yeah.
The rapper?
Like, is he like, I haven't heard a lot of his stuff, and I know I'll get in so much trouble from my children for saying that out loud, but yeah.
He's not necessarily my speed, but you can't argue with the earworms that he has created.
He just delivers absolute vibes. I'm a big fan. I saw The Weeknd in concert in my third year of university. I had very bad seats because I'm very cheap, and I paid and I was like, you know, the worst ticket you pay. Like, the cheaper the ticket is, the farther back it is. Holy, I'm having a brain fart. But so that reminded me that when before he was like huge, like I think he had just come out with like his first album, he was at Laurier, he performed at Laurier, and tickets were like $25.
Oh.
See Laurier or see The Weeknd at Laurier for like $25, probably even cheaper if I had to guess, and get like front row tickets before he was famous. And I'm just a huge Weeknd fan, so that means that would have been so cool.
It is low key one of like the most redeeming qualities of our students union is they've hit big on some like up and comers that like went big time afterwards. So
Yeah,
like
concerts on campus.
like Daniel Caesar, right? And then what was it, like the week after or like a little bit after, he's being nominated for a Grammy or accepting a Grammy, and we're like, what? He was just here.
Like, best artist at the Grammys, and you're like, that guy looks familiar. Oh yeah, he was on campus a week and a half ago.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the cool thing about like university too, is like there's often a lot of these artists, like whether they're celebrities or, you know, they have musicians or have podcasts, like they're doing their circuits because they're trying to get a name for themselves too. So universities always like snag up really cool talent. You get the chance to see a lot of really cool bands. The guy from Anthony from Queer Eye came and did like a lecture and like a live kind of podcast recording thing. And one of my friends that I was a Don with in university got to interview him. So I got to go on the stage and be like, so Anthony, how's it being famous? And like got to answer all those questions. And like, those are just such cool experiences that I wish.
My wife totally wanted to go to that, and I was gonna like pull strings to try and get tickets because like it was more like it was clear that the students had like first dibs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta be able to like get a little bit of a flex in here and like throw my weight around, right? But it ended up not happening because it was a late night and parenting, blah blah.
Yeah, it was like a middle of the week thing.
Yeah.
We stayed home in sweatpants. The end.
Yeah.
And watched Queer Eye on TV.
Awesome.
Yeah. True enough.
Well, I feel like I remember one of the things rub with celebrities, I was like, oh, so speaking of authors, I'm going to step into Yoko's wheelhouse here, is I don't know how many of you know Lawrence Hill. And so Canadian, Hamilton, like just.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, like that was probably one of my amazing rubs with celebrity. The man is amazing, and he's so kind and engaging, and he's so good with the students. So he did So probably his most book that he's known for is Book of Negroes. And then he had another one after that. The name is escaping me right now. But so he came and his book like went crazy, and he came and he talked to all the students. He did a huge signing. He did a reading from the book. It was incredible. Like the place was packed. It was done in one of our huge lecture halls, and it was done right. And of course we didn't have Lazaridis Hall at the time. It was just before Lazaridis was built. And then he came back, and because that book got turned into a miniseries, and then we did a screening of the miniseries at Laurier. And it was so good. So good. We had so many people from the community and the students there. And it was awesome. And then we had the producers there. It was, that was probably my like, whoo. That was my whoo moment. Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay, so I've got, I think, maybe the Laurier Celebrity Connection trump card.
Ooh.
I think any of y'all are going to be able to beat. So Drake's, I think it's his most recent album. Did you know that Laurier has a shout out in a Drake song?
What? No.
What?
No? Did you know? Did you know? So here's how Craig knows. Admittedly, not like Drake's A1 #1 fan. That belongs to the associate registrar at the Brantford campus, Jen Brickman. She loves October's very own. Anyway, Laurier alumni who ended up working for me as a recruiter. His name is Mike. And at the time he was doing recruitment, he was also working in music production. It's always been a passion of Mike. So he is a philosophy grad with a management option. And the whole idea is like the philosophy is just the kind of mind that Mike had for being a lyricist and being like really artistic minded. And then the management option was totally the entrepreneur side of him in terms of trying to actually make it in the music biz, which is not easy to do anywhere. And admittedly, a little tougher to do if you're a Canadian North American than if you're in the US. But honestly, Mike has had an incredible career, and he's in his early 30s. He bought like literally the dream where like you buy the house from mom and dad and then let them live there. He's happily married with a girl that he met in Colombia when he was there doing record production. When he was doing his last contract with us, he actually needed to leave a day early because he had to catch a flight to Miami to do a studio session and then come back and finish his contract with us. So anyway, Mike is really well connected, and there's a couple of songs. Like the writers are supposed to be on the down low for some of these songs for big artists. So I'll just say that there's a Flow Rider song that Mike had a pretty big hand in. And he's getting those royalty checks. That's all I'll say about that. So anyway, he hit me on Instagram. He's like, hey man, have you heard the song Deep Pockets by Drake? Admittedly, I had not. In the Deep Pockets, it talks about drives from Laurier to Mackenzie, I think it is. And it's all about when Drake was hanging out in Waterloo at the Waterloo campus and then drives back to his hometown in the 6th. And because that was the thing that happened. And it's
cool.
Yeah.
Laurier is Drake famous.
And so now I'm totally going to go listen to the song, even though Drake's not my speed, but I'm totally going to go listen to the song now because I got to hear this. My
Full disclosure,
like,
there's no radio edit on that song, I assure you.
Oh, okay, good to know.
But it is what it is.
Why don't we have that like on t-shirts?
Well, I haven't
Drake
done anything with it
here.
yet because I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I feel like it's not a bad thing though.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Okay, Craig, that was pretty.
Usually I don't like when you're like, oh, I have the best story. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do anything in my power to make sure that he doesn't know that he has the best story. That one was probably the best story.
Okay, yeah, well done, Craig.
You win.
Yep. Well done. Yes.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's so cool. That was fun. It's always fun to like find a way. Like we talk about Laurier a lot. We all love Laurier, but it's kind of fun to think outside the box and be like, what else can we talk about, but still relate it back to Laurier? And we got to somehow relate Drake back to Laurier, C.S. Lewis back to Laurier. Everyone's going to go watch The Proposal. It's going to be fantastic. Let us know if you like it.
Awesome.
So if you've missed a recording or you'd like to catch up on some of our old podcasts, you can do that at wlu.ca/ usually it's not, that's why I need Sean. wlu.ca/Laurier at home. If you
Nice.
want to catch a campus tour or you want to speak to some of our current students and Laurier ambassadors, you can do that at wlu.ca/virtual experience. If you have any themes that you want us to talk about on these podcasts, or if you just want to let us know how much you like The Proposal, you can do that at recruiters@wlu.ca. And that is all for us. Thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure to have you here, and kick it.
I wanna talk, I wanna be your friend. I get so nervous when I meet new people, but you don't mind cause you're a nice new friend. Let's go to school and just be friendly people. I just wanna sit and talk to you. Oh my, it's fun when we're together.